Hey Spring Hill friends, it's me Anna. I'm here at my pond right now reading a pond book inspired by Myrtle. We don't have any turtles in this pond, but I don't know. We've never seen any. Dad, have you seen any turtles in this pond ever? I don't think there's ever been any turtles in this pond, but maybe if we read a story about turtles, maybe they'll come this year. I don't know. Do you remember this story? We love this one at Spring Hill. It's called M-O-S-S-Y, Mossy, by Jan Brett. It also has such beautiful end pages. So many different kinds of moss and lichen on this page. We're standing on a spot that has a whole bunch of moss right now. It's starting to look greener and greener now that it's springtime. Mossy. Ooh, this says Dr. Carolina right here and Tori right here. And in this picture it says Eastern Box Turtle, Terrapin Carolina. On a misty, moisty morning, a young turtle stood at the edge of Lily Pad Pond. Her name was Mossy. Mossy liked this damp, cool place. She spent so much time here that curlicues of moss began to grow on her carapace until her shell was covered with them. Myrtle has a carapace like this too. That means the top of her shell. But Myrtle's looks different than Mossy's, right? As the spring days got warmer, tiny ferns unfurled and wildflowers began to blossom. Soon, Mossy's shell was home to an amazing garden. Oh, look at this. That looks like a yellow spotted salamander. I've actually been out here at this pond every night for the past few nights to check to see if there's any yellow spotted salamanders, because this is the time of year that they come to the pond, but I haven't seen any yet. I come out here at night with a really bright light and shine it in the water, and so far I've seen a couple of bugs and one salamander, but not a yellow spotted one. But I'm hoping it'll be soon. Mossy liked to look at her reflection in Lily Pad Pond and see what was growing in her garden. Every day brought a surprise. A new flower, or perhaps a delicious wild strawberry? Yum! Mossy's garden was growing wider and taller. Look at all of these flowers. There's a lot of flowers on here that we see in Vermont too. One day, Mossy was standing by Lily Pad Pond when the water rippled and two ruby red eyes looked up at her. It was a handsome turtle she hadn't seen before. Scoot had never seen a lady turtle like Mossy. He thought her garden was pretty, but it was Mossy who made his heart beat fast. She was breathtaking. Look at all those crazy frogs, too. Can you see Scoot right here under this lily pad just peeking his little head up? Do you remember in some of the other books that we've read by Jan Brett, like The Mitten, there's these kind of hints in the book on either side of the page that tell you about what's happening at the same time, that sometimes they tell you what's about to happen in the story. So if you keep an eye on here, you might get some hints about what's going on. Scoot scrambled up the bank and walked toward Mossy. Entranced by those ruby eyes, Mossy made her way into the open glade toward Scoot. But just then, Dr. Carolina, on her morning walk with her niece Tori, spotted Mossy. Gently, Dr. Carolina picked her up. She is perfect for the museum. Check out that museum. This kind of reminds me of our Mossy window garden, actually. This sign says, Mossy, Eastern Box Turtle. Never had Dr. Carolina's museum had a wonder as extraordinary as a garden-growing turtle. She and Tori made a home for Mossy in a viewing pavilion with plants. a reflecting pool, and everything they thought a turtle would need. But Mossy already had everything she needed back at Lily Pad Pond, and she longed to go home and find her new friend. Every day, Scoot waited for Mossy, but Mossy didn't come back. Can you see Scoot in this little window? It looks like he's eating part of a strawberry. Have we ever fed Myrtle a strawberry? I don't know if we have. Do you remember any of the things that we've fed Myrtle before, though? I'm not sure if strawberries are healthy for her. That would be a good question for BJ. But we have fed her worms before. What else? Do you remember? All summer, visitors came to see Mossy and her famous garden. They watched her eat raspberries and mealyworms, mushrooms, and lettuce, but Mossy didn't seem happy to Tori, and Dr. Carolina was too busy to notice. Mossy was lonely for Scoot. She had stopped looking at her garden and the reflecting pool because it made her remember those ruby red eyes shining like jewels peering at her from the lily pad pond. Thoughts of Scoot only made her sad. Look at all those people visiting the museum. Mossy is quite the attraction. Snow fell outside, but inside the museum, Mossy's garden kept growing, and people flocked to see her. Dr. Carolina was thrilled that Mossy had made her museum famous. Today, Tori and her class had come to see Mossy. The meteorites and geodes amazed the children. They loved the woodland diorama, the butterflies and the shells. Finally, Dr. Carolina said it was time to see a special exhibit. The children gathered around the viewing pavilion. At first, they didn't see Mossy. Then, she started to walk. Her magnificent garden swaying back and forth, the little turtle captivated the children. Mossy is a special turtle, Dr. Carolina told them. Her garden grows and changes all year round. She is never hungry or cold. She is safe living in the museum. Here with us, Mossy could live to be 100 years old. How old is Myrtle turning? Do you remember? She's not 100 yet, but I hope someday she will be. Right now she's 31 years old. She's older than me. Tori frowned. She loved the museum. She had helped her aunt collect wonderful things on their walks, but Mossy was the first living creature that Dr. Carolina had taken to live in the museum. Is that why she looks so sad? Tori wondered. Do you think Mossy is happy here? Tori asked her aunt. Does she have any turtle friends? The children asked. No, but here we all have the opportunity to see her. Dr. Carolina paused. The children had given her an idea. On the first day of spring, a sign on the front of the museum read, "Closed, do not disturb." 2 women arrived at the back of the museum. Dr. Carolina and Tori were there to meet them. Everyone wondered what this meant. 1 day passed, 2 days passed, then 3. After a week, everyone was invited inside. What do you think it's going to be? Dr. Carolina introduced the 2 mystery women. Please meet Flora and Fauna, she said. The curtain was pulled aside, revealing a portrait of Mossy, larger than life, with her garden painted in glowing detail. Look, Mossy's name is even up here. Mossy. Flora had painted all the plants. Fauna had painted Mossy. Together, the artists had captured a moment in time that would never fade. Everyone cheered and clapped. Even brought a puppy with him, I guess. That kind of looks like Kate's dog, Scarlet. At dusk, Dr. Carolina gently put Mossy in a collection basket. Come with me, she said to Tori, and off they went to take Mossy to Lily Pad Pond. Together, they said goodbye to their garden-growing friend and put her in the glade next to the waterfall, exactly where Dr. Carolina had found her. Mossy was home. Do you see in the window who's right here? You remember his name? Scoot. And actually on Scoot's scoots, which are like the little parts of his carapace, the little sections, I just noticed it says T-O-R-Y. The color on his scoots makes the shape of those letters that spell out Tori. That's her name. The next morning, the warm spring sun woke up Scoot from his bed beneath the leaves. He opened his ruby eyes and saw Mossy. Their year apart vanished into the past. Wow, can you see them looking at each other? They are so happy. At the museum, the portrait of Mossy continued to amaze visitors. What an extraordinary work of art and nature, they exclaimed. The world changed as the years went by, and Tori grew up, but Mossy's portrait is there in Dr. Carolina's museum for all to see, not knowing that not far away, on the misty, moisty edge of Lily Pad Pond, an old turtle still stands. Her name is Mossy. Look at these. I wonder what that means. Oh, can you see Scoot and Mossy together? She still has her beautiful garden, and look at all these babies. They each have a little tiny tuft of moss on their carapace. They're too cute. Do you think that there was ever a time when Myrtle was this tiny? Now she's so big, 31 years old. But there was probably a day when she was so little. How little do you think she was? Do you think she was this little? What do you think? How big was her shell that she came out of, do you think? I don't know. And look, I think we missed it at the beginning. We should do a full open up. We have Mossy on the cover, Scoot on the back. Kind of looks like he's chasing after her. I'm also noticing on the front cover, there's a little friend I've been seeing around here, around my house, and right before we left school, actually. So there were a group of Spring Hillers that found one of these on a rainy, it was like a misty, moisty day. They found one right underneath the porch, and they brought it to a warm spot and helped wake it up. Do you remember what this is called? It has such a fun name. A woolly bear. Right next to a ladybug. All right, thank you so much for reading that story with me. Happy birthday, Myrtle.